But let's get on to our player ratings. Going to start off with Big Vic. Amir gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, to be honest, especially in the first half. Kept us in it time and time again. There was one save, wasn't there? It was actually given offside by the end of it, but it was an unbelievable save from point blank range. And I just feel like without Vicario yesterday, we could have been more. Yeah, it could have been a lot more, to be honest. And he kept us in it.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. You know, he had a good performance. Probably one of our best performers on the day. So made some great saves. My only thing that I was a little bit disappointed with maybe his distribution. Could have been a little bit quicker, I felt like, but that was the slowness of it was around the whole team. It wasn't just him. But I do think that sometimes, you know, long distribution sometimes needs to be a little bit better from Vic, and if he can add that to his game would be fantastic. That's the only thing I marked him down on, really.
Yeah, and look, I said it in the preview, but I just don't think he deserved to be on the losing side yesterday, Vicario. That's how well I thought he played.
Yeah, he did.
Let's move on to Emerson Royale. Amir gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. I was actually so frustrated with Emerson throughout the game. I thought his distribution was absolutely shocking. Didn't give us anywhere close to what kind of Pedro Porro can give us, but that's kind of expected. You know what you're losing when Porro goes out of the team, and you know what you're gaining when Emerson comes in the team, and it's usually defensive solidity. And I think actually, for the most part, he actually made some really important interceptions and tackles, goal-saving interceptions and tackles throughout the game, but he just didn't offer enough to the team in terms of the way we like to play our football. He gave the ball away time and time again, which was just so frustrating, and I just don't think Emerson is suited to an Ange Ball system. I really don't.
No, he's not suited to inverting, is he? It's not his forte. I can remember him playing a terrible ball going out for a throw-in as well. I was going absolutely mental. Not one of his best days. I'm someone who I back Royale. I like the guy's energy. What he lacks in quality, I think he brings in effort and energy. But having said all that, you know, you can bring all the effort and energy in the world if, you know, the quality is not quite there, and it wasn't yesterday. It wasn't one of his standout performances at all.
Moving on to Kuti Romero, 6s all round from us for Kuti. I thought it was okay. It wasn't one of his greatest displays, but wasn't, you know, terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I thought defensively he did okay. But what I was actually really happy with Romero in that second half, he was trying to take it upon himself to lead that charge and lead the team forward. You know, he was sitting on the halfway line at times, trying to drag the team forward. And he was trying to like up the tempo a little bit, but it was just unfortunate that the players around him weren't really on that wavelength.
No, they weren't on his wavelength. I think he played all right. Romero wasn't one of his standout performances again. Second half, he was a little bit better, tried to move the ball a bit quicker. I just think that if you're looking to be a leader in that defense, you know, I want to look at him absolutely screaming at the other players, saying teams will not score against us. You know, when's the last time we had a clean sheet? So for me, for these defenders, if they want to get into the realms of an 8 or a 9, you need to be coming home with a clean sheet for me. Yeah, you know, so conceding 2 goals, that's why I gave Romero a 6 there.
Mickey van der Ven up next. Amir gave him a 7. I gave him an 8. Another one that comes out of it looking good, to be honest, not the very few anyway, because I thought him and Big Vic probably the only two that really come out of it with any sort of praise. And again, another one that saved us time and time again with his recovery runs. He just gets us out of so many problematic situations time and time again with his pace and his ability to kind of track back where others can't. And he did that again yesterday. So another good performance from Mickey van der Ven.
Yeah, it was a very decent performance by Mickey. I feel like we're a bit too reliant on him. You know, we know that his pace is just unbelievable, so he can get to balls that other players just simply wouldn't even think of getting to, and he gets us out of so much trouble. And the fact that he's so calm on the ball as well, it really does help the team. It's been nothing but class since he's arrived at the lane. Long may it continue. I think the kid's only about 22, 23, and he plays, you know, as if he's been in the game for 15 years.
Absolutely.
So, fantastic.
Yeah. And I was just looking at that while you were talking, by the way. The last time we did keep a clean sheet in the Premier League was that Nottingham Forest game in December.
Oh, wow.
15th of December is the last time we kept a clean sheet in the Premier League.
Oh, wow.
We did keep one after that in the Cup against Burnley.
That wasn't a good performance, though.
That wasn't a good performance either, no. But that is the last time we have kept a clean sheet. But let's move on to Ben Davies. 6s all round for Ben. Look, you know what you're going to get with Ben Davies. Hard-working performance. I don't think he provided too much quality in terms of on the ball, but I think he put in another hard-working display. Standard 6 out of 10 Ben Davies that you're pretty much going to get every time with him, to be honest. But it all comes down to that miss right at the end. You expect him to put that away. That was a gilt-edged chance. You've got to be putting those away.
This is the difference. This is the difference maker. If Ben puts that away, he gets an 8, doesn't he?
Yeah, probably.
So unfortunately, he didn't. Very, very frustrating. Last minute of the games, great opportunity for him, and yeah, he absolutely fluffs it. But yeah, in terms of his performance overall, I think it was average, nothing special, but didn't make any, catastrophic mistakes. He always brings that bit of experience.
Yeah, steady Eddie, our Ben Davies. And the problem is that when you have Davis and Emerson there and you lose both what Destiny and Porro give us, they give us so much, especially Destiny defensively, the way he charges forward like a steam train, Destiny, a doggy. Ben Davies, you know what I mean? Ben Davies just cannot do that.
It's not the same physical abilities there. You're talking about a 20-year-old who's built like a tank to someone who's come into the twilight of his career. It's two different things going on there. I really want you doggy back for Palace.
Yeah, I think he will be, and I think it's a good thing for us that this Chelsea game got postponed because we need these 2 weeks on the training pitch, and we need to be able to recover those two players as well.
We do.
Yves Bissouma up next. Amir gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. I was really disappointed with Bissouma yesterday. I was really excited to see him in the starting lineup. I thought he came on with a bit of a point to prove in the last game against Brighton with a number of interceptions, looked tenacious in the middle of the park there. But he was anything but that, to be honest, against Wolves yesterday. He just didn't do anything. I mean, he was poor defensively. It all comes down to that moment, isn't it, where they scored their second goal. He gives the ball away so sloppily. They charge up the pitch. Be fair to him, he did get back into position, but not the right position because he's not tracking the man. And the man, your man, João Pedro, whatever his name is, João Gomez, he's completely free in the middle of the box. Those 2 goals that he scored yesterday, 2 of the easiest goals that you could score. I could have scored those 2 goals. You know what I mean? The first one from the corner, he's completely free. No one in acres of space to him. And in the second one, Bissouma should be tracking him. I don't understand. Bissouma runs all the way back and decides to stand in where no other Wolves players are. It's ridiculous, to be honest.
You know that clown music? It's kind of like that because he sprinted all the way back. You've made an 80-yard sprint to be in the right position, but you haven't looked over your shoulder or even, the periphery, your eye vision. You can just about make out that he's there. Could have stopped him. Didn't do that. It's a big learning lesson for Bissouma. And for me, the reason I gave him a 5 and didn't rate him down a bit lower was I think the start of the game, he actually started all right. I think he drifted out of the game. His first 20 minutes, I thought he was actually doing all right. Looked like one of our better players.
But what is it with Bissouma? Like, has that just, of those red cards and just knocked the stuffing out of his confidence? Because he's just, like I said in the preview, he's a shadow of the player that we saw in those first 10 games. Where has our Bissouma gone?
Maybe left in Mali. Where was the African nations? Ivory Coast. Maybe left in the Ivory Coast. I don't know. But I want to see the Bissouma for the first 10 games. That's for sure. I want to see him back. Bring back our Bis.
Next up, Pape Matar Sarr. Amir gave him a 6. I gave him a 5. On the back of a really top display against Brighton last week, where I gave him my man in the match. I think I don't know, it was a strange one for Sarr because you know what you're going to get with him. He's running around, he's putting a lot of energy into the game, but I just felt like he lacked a lot of quality. And again, that goal that we did concede kind of went straight through him with that ball straight down the middle of the park, which landed to Pedro Neto. And I just don't think Sarr offered us anything close to maybe what he offered us in that Brighton game. And look, he's a young player. Maybe you do expect these kind of performances from time to time, but let's just hope it's not a regular occurrence.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with a lot of that. I think, he wasn't in the game as much as he was against Brighton. He kind of drifted in and out a little bit against Wolves. He covers a lot of ground, Sar. You know what you're going to get. The issue is he's still young. He's still learning his trade. He can misplace a pass or two. I think he did yesterday as well. But I think in general, his performances have been outstanding this season, and I'm sure he'll bounce back, and he'll be looking at himself and thinking, how can I improve, and how can I, make the difference to the team? And I think he will. He will improve. For sure.
Next up, James Maddison, 5s all round for Madders. Probably, I would say, maybe his worst display since he's been back from injury, which was really disappointing because we needed someone to really take the great game by the scruff of the neck, and he's the one with the qualities to do that. And he was getting on the ball a fair bit, and I felt like a lot of the time he was choosing the wrong option of the passes. A lot of the time the passes weren't of high quality. Maybe it was due to the Wolves, the way they sat in that low block, and it was very difficult for someone like Maddison to pick that hole, but he just didn't offer us what we needed in that moment in time in the game. And maybe sometimes with James Maddison, why not take a pop shot from 25, 30 yards? We know he's got it in his locker. It's just very frustrating because we're just passing it around the box, and he was very central to that, obviously. And sometimes it's just worth just taking a shot, and he just didn't do that.
No. You expect a lot, when you know the quality of a player, and we know what James Maddison offers in terms of unlocking a team, beautiful one touch ball, great finish. We're expecting that week in, week out, and when he's not doing those things, it really does stand out. And I do think yesterday was one of his worst performances, not just since he's been back, but since he's come to Spurs. He really didn't get on the ball enough for me and do enough with it. A lot of sideways and not forward thinking enough. And like you said, if you're on that edge of the box, sometimes just have a pot shot. You never know. The keeper could make a save. It bounces out. Second ball from the corner. You can get an opportunity. It's definitely something that Maddison will need to look at, and I'm sure he can add it to his game because he's such a phenomenal player, and the talent that he has on the ball, there's no one else in the team that can do the things that he does. So I'm sure that this is just a little blip for him, and he'll be back to his best against Palace once he's really fully fit and match fit.
Next up, Decky, 7s all round for Dejan Kulusevski. It was a better performance than maybe what we saw against Brighton last week. Albeit against Brighton, he was kind of growing into the game, wasn't he? And then he got taken off. Yeah, and he got taken off as soon as he made that great pass that forced that goal. But with yesterday, I felt like if anything was going to happen, it was going to come through Kulusevski. He played that brilliant ball right at the end for Ben Davis. He obviously got the goal with a really high quality goal, really great footwork, and low into, I think it went through the keeper's legs or just by the side of the keeper. Really good goal. But still, apart from that, he did fail to threaten, really. I mean, I've seen a lot better performances from Kulusevski whilst he's been here. But when you're looking at that game in isolation, he was probably our best attacker on the day.
Oh, yeah, by far. By far our best attacker. Managed to claw our way back into the game with that wonderful solo goal, which he really did fantastically for. I still don't think he's back to his best. That those first 6 months that he had with us when he came in the January window, I think he was phenomenal, and he was, cutting players up and putting the ball in the corner every time. He seemed to be finding that corner, the left corner. I want to see him get back to that, and I think that hopefully this goal can give him that boost going into the next few games to get him back on track. Kulu, that's a step in the right direction yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not great by any stretch of the imagination. I kind of bumped him up a lot because if he puts that carbon copy performance in and doesn't score that goal, he's probably a 5 or something. Because it's such a great goal, I did bump him up a couple. And look, he did look. When I say he looked our most threatening out of our front three, it's not really much to go by because the other two didn't look threatening at all.
Yeah, which is really crazy when you think about who they are and what they've been doing recently for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, let's get on to Sonny next. 5s all round. I thought the way he started the game, he was looking to get beyond his fullback and attack the space, and he kind of failed to do that, to be honest. I felt like he was pretty much anonymous for the majority of the game. I'm not sure what it was about. Maybe it was because of the shape that Wolves were in, but he just failed to impact the game by any sort of stretch of the imagination, and it was a poor display from Sonny.
It was a poor performance, and the only thing that is kind of echoing in my mind is this something to do with things that he's brought back from Korea? We know they had a bust up. We know he was very disappointed with the way they got knocked out. Is something affecting him mentally? Because it doesn't seem to be physical, right? He seems to be fully fit. Not quite sure what the drop-off day was yesterday with Sonny. But I do think that, again, it's another blip for a world-class player. It's not his greatest performance, but he'll be back to his best for the run-in, and I can assure you he's going to be full of goals and assists for this run-in.
And he'll be very disappointed with that performance. He'll be very disappointed.
He'll be fuming
with the team's performance and himself. So I agree. I'm sure Sonny will be fit and firing, ready for the next game. And these 2 weeks on the training pitch will do everyone the world of good. In terms of the starting 11, the last player will be Richarlison, who's fours all round. And I was really disappointed with Richarlison. First half, particularly, like the ball just kept coming to him, kept bouncing off him. His control was terrible. His passing was terrible. I don't remember a thing that he did right, to be honest, apart from, running around and putting hard work in. Apart from that, everything he did when the ball came to him was out of a really low quality. Yeah,
and that sums it up. His performance was of low quality yesterday. That he couldn't make the ball stick. He wasn't creating any chances for himself. He wasn't really playing players into the game or anything like that. The one caveat I'll have to all of that, and the low ratings that we've given him, there was no service. As a striker, you want good balls into the box. That Ben Davies chance, you want those kind of chances delivered. He didn't get any of that. So on a day where we create more, I think Richie probably does get on the score sheet, but we didn't create anything for him. So he had nothing to feed off.
Let's go on to the substitutes. We're going to rate the three that came on with around 25 minutes to go. First one is Rodrigo Bentancur. Amir gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Didn't really offer us anything when he came on the pitch, unfortunately. It carries on a theme with Bentancur of poor displays. Maybe he is just getting back to full fitness because he, did have a lot of injuries there. But I thought he was poor in the tackle. Didn't offer us that silky Bentancur on the ball moves that we know he likes to produce. So unfortunately, he has to have a low mark.
No, I hear that. I just gave him a 5, average. Didn't do anything phenomenal. Didn't do anything terrible. He needs to get back to his best as well. I think he's another one that he's not fully fit for me. Was it Brighton that he looked completely off the pace? In that
Everton as well.
Everton as well. Yeah. So, hopefully these 2 weeks, rest up Benty and, get yourself back on the mend. Get yourself back to your best, because when he's on his best, one of our best players. Phenomenal.
Brennan Johnson, Amir gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. He came on to, really try and force the issue, to put Wolves under pressure. And he just didn't do that, to be honest. I think every time he got it, he either checked back or when he tried to run at his man, he lost the ball pretty much every time. He's just not offering much, to be honest, in a Spurs shirt, unfortunately. And I still back him. I still think he potentially has the qualities that he can fulfill the needs here, but it's going to be a work in progress. Maybe we won't see the best of him till next season, but from what he's offering right now, for the money that we paid for him, it's not good enough.
I hear that, Ben. I hear that. But I also think that he's a very young player, and he's been played a lot more than Ange would have liked, given all the injuries that we've had. So I don't know if we've paid that amount of money for talent that may progress in the future, or for the ready-made player. Because he doesn't look ready-made, does he? It looks like it's going to be one that we need to develop. But when you're looking at it, Johnson does offer something different to us than Kulu. He comes on, he brings that phenomenal pace that he's got. So if he can learn to hold on to the ball a little bit better and improve a few aspects of his game, I think he can be a real danger going forward. I think we have to be a bit patient with someone like Brennan. Arm around the shoulder, see how he goes. Don't put too much pressure on this kid, because a 40 million, it's not his fault that he was that priced.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all. But, in that time of the game, 25 minutes to go, we need a goal. There's no space in behind whatsoever because Wolves are clogging up all the areas. Kulusevski moves inside into the midfield and Brennan's on that right. He just didn't get across into the box. He didn't have a shot. He didn't do anything in terms of trying to force the issue. And that's my problem. Like, when you're bringing someone like that on, you need to force the issue. And he just didn't do that.
No, I hear that. He needs to do a lot more for me. And, he got the winning goal against Brighton. But if that goal hadn't have gone in, we would have all been slating his performance. Because
I was getting my words ready for him after that game.
I remember. So was I, Ben, because it was very sloppy. It was very sloppy. But again, it could be, young players, nerves. It is daunting playing in front of 60,000 week in, week out and having all that pressure on you. So let's be a little bit patient with Brennan.
Yeah, I agree with that. And last but not least, in terms of the outfield players, is Timo Werner. Amir gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Came on up front, then moved out to the left. Ange didn't really know what to do with him, it seemed. And he offered next to nothing, to be honest. Not really much to say on Timo Werner because I just felt like Brennan, he just didn't offer anything.
No, it didn't do too much. I don't think it helps. What position are you going in to play? That's something you need to look at. Was he going on to play striker or was he going on to play on the left wing? Because I still don't understand. I still can't figure it out right now, to be honest with you. So, yeah, just average 5 for Timo for me.
And last but not least, we're going to finish on Ange Postecoglou. 5s all round for Ange. Unfortunately, you got to put it down on Ange because these performances are coming a regular occurrence. And I think we've got out of jail a few times in the last few weeks. Obviously, Everton, we drew the game because we conceded in the last minute, but I don't think we really deserved to be winning that game. Last week against Brighton, we won 2-1, where I don't think we really deserved to win the game. And again, yesterday, probably the worst of the lot, but we deserved absolutely nothing out of it and we got what we deserved. And I think you've got to put that down on the manager. He needs to find solutions of ways to get us to improve and get us back to those levels, which he showed in the first 10 games of the season. He did try and force the issue in the mid stage of the second half, and all the changes that he did make just failed to impact the game whatsoever. So I think Ange has got a lot of work to do at this football club. I don't think anyone was under the illusion that there wasn't a lot of work to do. I think maybe those first 10 games kind of clouded our vision of where Spurs should be at this moment in time. So I think what he's saying about bumps in the road, it's a work in progress. We're nowhere near where he wants us to be. I think it's all true. And maybe those first 10 games did cloud our vision and our judgment. But like I said before in the match review, I do think he's the right man to take us forward. I love Ange. I think that we're on the right path with him. But right now we're in a very sticky patch and he needs to figure out solutions to get us out of it and to get us playing well again, because we haven't been playing well for a while now. And we've been getting out of jail, like I said. Game management, I thought, was fairly poor from him yesterday. The changes that he did make, like I said, didn't impact it. The starting lineup, you can't really have too many arguments with the starting lineup because of Porro and Udogie being out injured, but maybe he could have played Van de Ven left back and bring in a Dragoos in at centre back, but would have changed the course of the result? I don't even think so.
Maybe not. Maybe yes, maybe no, we'll never know. But when it comes down to Ange, the reason I've marked him down to a 5, a couple of reasons. One, I think he telegraphs the game a little bit. When you tell your opponents exactly how you're going to line up, exactly how you're going to play, and there's no even chance of there being a slight tactical change or a slight, instructional differentiation in there to do something a little bit different. That's my issue. I think Wolves knew exactly how we were going to line up. They had their tactic, and for me, Gary O'Neill won the tactical masterclass, all day long. And the same thing happened against Villa for me, and it's becoming a little bit of a trend with Ange and becoming a little bit of a worry for me. So like you said, Ben, it's about him finding the solutions to that. He's done amazingly with his set of values and his style of football in the Japanese league and in the Scottish league. We all know that the Prem is a huge step up from those leagues. And I think what we're going to see here over the next year or so under Ange is his development as a manager and his growth as a manager. Because I'm sure he will find the solutions and he will figure out ways to get us over the line. But he's going to have to start learning on the fly, because we've got a super important run-in coming in. We're battling for that 4th position. And if he can pull that off for us, get us into that Champions League, then he has the whole of the next year with a nice window under his belt to really show the Spurs fans what he can do for our club. And my belief is that if we give this manager the right tools, that he will find a way to bring glory back to the lane. And I think he's the right man for the job. He's the right man to find the right solutions for us and get us over the line. And I really, really hope that, you know, all the fans out there listening to this continue with that, continue backing him, and, you know, really help push the team on until the end of the season.
And to put it in perspective as well, when we're talking about how poor we've been over the past couple of weeks and stuff like that, the amount of injuries that we've had and everything that's been going against us. In the last 10 games in the Premier League, only 2 teams have picked up more points than us, and that is Liverpool and Man City. We've picked up more points than Arsenal, Villa, Man U, everyone else we've picked up more points than.
It's a blip. It's a blip in the road. It really is a blip in the road. And I know it hurts. It really hurts. I was here last night for the match. It really hurts. It really is one that we should be getting points out of. But like I said before, if we then go and lose to Palace, then I think there's other issues at fault, and we really need to start looking at ourselves.
Yeah, but we can't lose that game.
No, we can't. But for me, this is a blip in the road. Ange needs to figure out the solutions. He's got, you know, the players at his disposal that he chose, right? He wanted Dragusin in. As much as we complain about Johnson, that's an Ange player, right? He brought him in. So he's got a few of the players that he wants. Let's see what we can do until the end of the season. Ange will find the solutions for me. And I'm going to go as far as saying we will nick that Champions League spot in the end, Ben. I do
I'm
believe
still confident
that.
of it as well.
No, I still do believe that. And wow, can you imagine European outing under Ange? That is something I want to see, Ben. That is really something I want to see.
Big up. So that is our player ratings for the defeat yesterday against Wolves.